Today, I want to talk about one of the biggest social problems that we experience in El Salvador, which is teenage pregnancy. 1 out of 4 pregnancies in El Salvador is a teenage pregnancy, and between 2015 and 2020, there were 48 daily pregnancies registered on girls and adolescents. And out of these 48 pregnancies, two were girls between the ages of 10 and 14. In the year 2021, there were 258 pregnancies registered on girls between 10 and 14, and 6,581 pregnancies were registered on girls between 15 and 19 years old. Most of these pregnancies are the result of sexual violence. In 2016, there were 3,083 victims of sexual violence registered, while in 2019, these numbers increased and they were 3,564 victims of sexual violence registered. By the pandemic, these numbers increased because most of the time these girls had to stay home with their abusers. And by 2021, we had around 4,000 victims of sexual violence, all these according to data from the Fiscalía General de la República. This sexual violence includes rape, sexual harassment, statutory rape, and other sorts of sexual assault. Most of the time, these abuses are perpetrated by family members or people close to the victims. Now, I want to talk about the consequences that a pregnancy at an early age can bring to the girls and adolescents' lives. First, we have the fear and psychological problems. These girls can suffer from depression, and also some girls have fear and anxiety about growing up and fully developing into adulthood. Also, they experience low self esteem because they are constantly harassed and by society. The other big problem that they face is the family consequences because most of the times the parents judge their daughters and reject them and don't support them during this time. And most of the girls have to abandon their education so they can look for a way in which they can provide for all the necessities that the baby has. Also, the fathers of the babies usually tend to abandon the mother, so they remain as single mothers. Another problem is that since it's something that these girls didn't want to happen, most seem to reject the babies and they don't treat the babies the best way they have to. Also, some of these girls think that the only solution to the problem is to get an abortion. But we live in a country where abortion is illegal, so the only way that they can get an abortion is clandestinely. But it is very dangerous for these girls because either they can have obstetric problems, or they can also get caught and incarcerated, or they can even die from infections. Also, health problems are a big thing during teenage pregnancies because their bodies are not fully developed to conceive a life, so they may face obstetric problems, spontaneous abortions, or even they can die during childbirth. Now I'm going to talk about the measurements that we as society can take to prevent and reduce teenage pregnancy. First, we have law enforcement. It is important to seek for laws against child molesters and make sure that these laws are complied with. Sexual education is also something that I think is important. We need to teach young people how to prevent unwanted pregnancies and also protect themselves against sexual transmitted diseases. We need to teach them about what a pregnancy is and how we can prevent pregnancies at a young age, and also teach them about all the consequences that an unwanted pregnancy at a young age can bring to their lives. Because usually the girls that become pregnant need to leave their studies, as I mentioned before. Also, we need to make sure that we change the way our society thinks about sex and anything sexual related, because we live in a society that is very sexism, and we live in a patriarchy. It is something that is deeply rooted in Latin American culture, where we don't talk about sex, we don't mention it, and we need to change that. We need to make campaigns to teach young people about teenage pregnancies and all the consequences. Also, I think it's important to create empowerment programs for little girls and teenage girls so they can become stronger women. Also, programs for men and young boys to teach them about positive masculinity, and even create programs for the girls and teenage girls who become pregnant so they have the skills and resources to take care of themselves and all their babies. Thank you.